Hello everyone, welcome back to Ifechi family. You can see the excitement on my face today because I have a very important guest with me, another YouTuber, Ask Auntie Mabel. So today we are going to be doing a collaboration and we want to discuss a recent trend on people leaving Nigeria. They call it Jakpa into UK, other parts of the world. That's what we are going to be discussing today because we have lived, both of us have lived in the United Kingdom for many years. So we have some experience to share with you. This is part one of this collab. Once you finish watching this video, please rush to her channel, Ask Auntie Mabel, and hear what we discussed in her channel too. I really appreciate your presence here today. So before I go on to ask Auntie Mabel some questions, let me allow her to introduce herself. Sis, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be on your channel. And because we don't want this video to be too long, we are going to have it in two parts. Yes. So I'm really happy to be here today. And yes, I'm ready. My name is Mabel. So that's why my channel is called Ask Auntie Mabel.
The first one will be sort of what impact, the areas we're going to be covering today will be what impact being in abroad, in diaspora, has in our family, like husband and wife, and then the roles and relationships, our faith, emotional well-being, missing home, and all the rest of it. So that will be in this first part. So I will ask Auntie Mabel to tell us her own experience, the impact, and first of all, if she doesn't mind, I would like to know how long she has been in the UK. That would be a good start for us to have an idea. So when we start talking, those of you who are coming now will understand where we were and where we are now. Thank you.
I think if I can remember, I came to the UK in 1989, and that is, if you do the maths, that's over 33 years ago now. So, so first of all, so that will lead me to the next question. Obviously, my journey to the UK, it was quite different, and obviously it's going to be different from my big sister's experience when I interview her on my channel. So this is why we really want to do this. It's important to show the chronology of how things were then and how things are now. I came to the UK with my husband. We were just married. We got married December 88. Then we came to the UK September 89. We're on that 1 year married. And actually, our journey, we came to the UK by, I would say, by chance, because he has always planned for us to travel together. I know this traveling as a young couple wasn't a trend, but my husband was that one of those people who have gone to Germany, who have been to Rome and other places. So he just has always had it in mind that we should travel. So we actually went to Germany, went to Holland because we had a family friend in Holland at the time. From there, we came to the UK. So, and you know, those days when you are coming to the UK, you always, like then, you just want to stop by, and it's just like holiday job. You just wanted to raise a few coin and go back home and just continue living. So that was our story. Then they will allow you, there are some certain jobs that you are able to do as a holiday person. And so we're doing that. Then a few months later, that's when Abacha trend of terrorizing our country started. And people were now saying, oh, you can't come back home. Now we that are here, we want to run away. So that was how we decided to stay back and kind of recalculate our GPS, our plan. And even then, our plan was just that we will only be here for about 3 years or so. We didn't really want to stay. Particularly, I was so scared of raising children by myself. I said, by the time I start having children, once they reach the age of 3, I'm going back home. So because we were a young couple, kind of dropping the deep end, so it was a shock to our system, our relationship, our faith. And about a year or so later, we started having children, which I will talk about in another question. So the roles and responsibility was very difficult to adjust to, because we just have to, both of us have to work anyway, because that was our plan, to work for a few months and go back there. Obviously, like I said, because we had to remain here, so we had to start regularizing our paper now to stay in the UK. That had a huge impact on our faith and our emotional well-being. I was missing home like mad. And I think it was just God that rescued us somehow, because we found a faith community, the Nigerian Christian, Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians.
Oh, yeah, I know them.
Yeah. Thank you. And when we also went to a church, for 2 weeks later, we went to the church. We are Catholic. We are part of the Catholic Charismatic Renewal. So we had a very good ground in our faith. And that's where I met my husband. So we went to the church. We met a sister who was in Warri Catholic Charismatic at the time. So she kind of helped us to integrate into her family. And also we decided to start a Catholic Charismatic in our church then at the time, because they didn't have one. So what am I saying? It was very tough on us. But the community we formed and our faith was a great thing, played a great part in helping us to survive the loneliness, the shock to the system of just being like fish out of water. That's how I felt. I actually felt like fish out of water. And I couldn't wait to return back home, to be honest.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
I think I will stop there rather than just, I can say this, I can talk for the world, because it's an experience that's always there at the back of your mind. You never forget it.
Yeah.
So that's answered that question, sis.
Yes, definitely. So the next point we have here is raising children, childcare, schools, government resources, and no omugo. That one. Yes. So just tell us about the raising up children, how many children you had, and raising them up, and the struggles that you had.
This was the turning point. This is always the breaking point. So I will really say that those of you who are coming right now, coming straight with your children, this is an area you really, really have to be aware of. And that was one of the reasons I didn't want to raise my children. It was the way I was seeing children being raised, it was so frightening to be able to raise a whole child in this country that will be safe and be respectful, and to be able to embed our cultural heritage, our faith and identity, because people didn't take faith seriously the way we were brought up with faith. So that was a frightening one for me. But in my case, we were already married close to a year. Like as I said, before 1 year before we came over here. By then I wasn't pregnant yet. And in hindsight, now I'm actually grateful that God delayed it. Those days, once you get married, they are praying 9 months later, let us come and celebrate
Yes.
the child dedication. So with that mindset, I was kind of worried, what's the matter with me? Actually, when I see these teenagers pushing around, I said, oh God. And I was one of those who really kept myself. I was an SU background. So I was already beginning to worry in my head, is it going to be a problem in having children? So it was, that whole year and we went to the GP straight away, and they said, you have to wait for a year. We can't do anything with you. So after 1 year, they started first of all on temperature method. And then luckily, because without any intervention, I think the following year, when we're a year plus, the following May or so, I then got pregnant. So which means we had our first child just after our second wedding anniversary. So now it actually made me to identify with the TTC mom, because that 1.5 years I waited, it was like a long period in my life. So this is why I take time to pray for TTC mom a lot. So anyway, when I had my daughter, it was a big shock. I remember a friend that was kind enough to pick us up from the hospital after we had my baby, go home and just drop us at the door and say, bye-bye, told I have to go to work. I just went inside, I hold this baby. I was just crying because I said, am I going to raise this whole human being all by myself in the UK? So then it was a big shock. And then we didn't have this long maternity leave. Obviously, in my case, because we came here, we didn't have children. So both of us were working. And the system we went, I think it's always important now. That's why I tell people, it depends on who you know and doing your research. In our case, we couldn't do research, but the people we fell into were people who were either students, or those were just doing McDonald's job or cleaning job to survive, or those older aunties that they introduced us to will say, you can't get a good job here. The white man will not let you get a good job. So we just went into their cleaning and catering job kind of thing. So even when I had my first child, I was already doing the catering job. It was a good catering job with a good support system, and I was able to start late. So I went back 3 months later after I had my daughter. And long and behold, 6 months later, I was expecting my second child, because Because I know in my family, my mom we had this long gap of about 4 years and 3 years. I just thought probably I took after my mom. I wasn't really going to be that kind of person who your husband will look at once, then you get pregnant. So obviously, I didn't want to use any artificial intervention.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I'm sure you have benefited from this video and this collaboration. This is part 1. Remember, go to Ask Auntie Mabel to watch her own part of this video. Thank you so much and goodbye.